Rick Neuheisel, former UCLA head coach, and now working for CBS college football analyst, and also coached at Washington and Colorado. He knows the Pac-12, in other words. And Rick, kind enough to join us. Explain the timing of USC's decision to fire Clay Helton.
Makes no sense. I mean, Clay had been hanging on in what I call coaching purgatory for it seems like the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, he was hanging on like that cat was hanging on in Miami. I mean, but to do it in week 2 is a little bit questionable because now it puts, if you really think Dante Williams is a good coach, you put him in kind of harm's way, because if he does well, the players, just like they did for Mario Cristobal in Oregon, are going to be clamoring he should be the guy. And is he really going to be the guy that you're going to go forward with? That, to me, is a precarious situation. And if he doesn't do well, you've lost one of your best recruiters.
What is the upside to this?
The upside to this is, look, you're telling your constituency, the Trojan faithful, that you're going back to trying to be a dynasty. You realize you were kind of a fringe player all along during this last regime, and that isn't good enough.
Yeah, I just wondered if was he on that short of a leash that it was, and I know losing to Stanford and losing at home, being embarrassed, and UCLA is starting to rise a little bit. Like, I don't know if the two are connected at all. Am I connecting the dots and they shouldn't be connected?
I don't think that has much to do with it. I think it does have something to do with it that they're getting ready for a new television deal, and they want to signal to the television partners that, hey, SC is going to be a different animal going back to the days of glory, quote unquote. Listen, when Clay Helton went small ball, when he hired Cliff Kingsbury, and then Cliff off to the NFL, so he had to stay within the same genre. Otherwise, it would have looked like he was just hiring a name. He goes with Graham Harrell. You lose a lot of history with USC. I mean, this is a place for Ron Yeri, Anthony Munoz, Keith Van Horn, Brad Buddy, Don Mosbar, Tony Baselli. I mean, Elijah Vera Tucker was a first rounder, but they averaged, Dan, less than 100 yards a game rushing, 3 yards a carry last year. They used to be the bullies on the block. Going down the tunnel at the Coliseum with those guys in there, you're like, oh my goodness. They went small ball, and it was it's not what you do when you're a dominant program.
Well, give me the state of this program. USC needs to be honest with USC.
Right. They need to go back to financing their expectations. They need to go, and that's what Mike Bones said in this dismissal letter, that he has given them added resources. They need now to go back and use the power that they wield in the world of recruiting. I wouldn't even be shocked if they went and got an NFL GM, given all the different ways to amass talent now via the transfer portal, via go get a bunch of NIL deals in Los Angeles that are going to be readily available for kids that are going to be coming to the program, and go back to being a dominant team. The name that I'm going to throw out there, and I don't know if Urban's going to like the NFL, but Urban Meyer is the guy that I would be circling.
But I thought that he was tops on the list, but then it was vetoed by the higher ups. But
the higher ups now have also now seen what happens when they don't have the guy that they need, and Urban's been hired already. So if somebody else has hired him, it now makes it easier for you to you can see that he's made amends, blah, blah, blah.
Could you see Urban Meyer a one and done in the NFL, Rick?
Yes.
Why?
Urban Meyer is a control guy. And I don't say that disparagingly. He wants total control. The NFL athlete is a different animal. And sometimes his way of doing things will fall on some deaf ears, which will drive him crazy.
Could you call Urban Meyer now for January?
You can make overtures.
Yeah.
You can go back channels and try to get to his people and see if there's any interest. Now, obviously, it's only one game in, and if Jacksonville has a complete change of course and becomes close to a playoff team or a playoff team, then then this would all go out the window. But if this has the kind of season that I don't think is a far-fetched idea, meaning that it's a 3, 4, 5-win team, Urban Meyer might say, you know what? I'm more of a college guy.
Okay, I'm going to throw out a name while we're throwing out names.
Yes.
Because Urban Meyer can't be one and done in the NFL. Lane Kiffin.
Keyshawn likes Lane Kiffin. I think too big a leap for the Trojan administration to go back there. I mean, if you're going to do that, why wouldn't you go back to Sark? Right? Now, Lane Kiffin has this kind of aura about him that somehow mysteriously he can build it. But Lane Kiffin does it in the same way. He small balls it. He's throwing it all over the place. Now, they run the ball more than SC does, but I still think you need somebody like, I tell you, Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien might be in on this deal if he has his kind of year.
I don't think you can sell that.
Luke Fickell.
Yeah, I think that's the guy.
Yeah, Luke Fickell. But the question is, can he recruit the West Coast? Urban. Trust me, Urban's where they're going to try to butter their bread.
Well, we might as well go all the way to the top and go Pete Carroll. Bring Pete Carroll back while we're at it, Rick.
Yeah, while we're at it. I mean, listen, and Pete could probably do it, but Pete seems pretty happy there in Seattle.
Yeah, but I'm trying to understand, they don't keep talent in Southern California. They're letting all these great quarterbacks leave Southern California. How?
You may not get them out of high school right away, but you can get them on the bounce back. That's what Sonny Dykes has done at SMU. He's got a bunch of Dallas kids coming back to SMU, and their team is, I mean, last year they were the first time ranked since 1984. The transfer portal has given you 2 bites at the apple now for these kids that are from local. And like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if you go and get the new model, I think, is go get a general manager that's going to help you look at all these different arenas to find talent and amass yourselves with them. One thing USC has always been willing to do is let you get players into school.
So, wait, are you still bitter?
Does that sound? Did that come off a little bit bitter? Maybe it was the 50-0 thrashing I took, Dan. As a matter of fact, you were there.
Yes, I was.
You were there.
Yes, I was. Not for the whole game.
No, that's mercifully.
Yeah, and I was on the other sideline. Well, assess what we've seen so far. UCLA roughs up LSU at home, and Oregon goes on the road to beat Ohio State. Is this an anomaly, or is Pac-12 for real?
Those 2 teams are not anomalies. They're both physically built. Chip Kelly, I've said many times, should have been a service academy coach because of his affinity for running the football. Schematically, he's ahead of most in the run game, and now he's got 2 bruising backs. That kid from Michigan, Charbonnet, and the kid from Duke, Brown, both transfers, again, showing you that you can find ways to get players. They're the real deal. And if the quarterback can have any kind of year, they're going to be in this race all the way to the end. The Oregon win was fantastic, beautifully done. It may be more about Ohio State's defense than it is about Oregon's team. I think we're going to have to wait and see where they are defensively. They gave up 600 yards of offense and still found a way to win because they were able to control it. I'm not sure there aren't some better defenses right now that they'll see later in the season. In particular, UCLA, who looked really good against LSU. The worry in the Pac-12 is the bottom half. They're the only Power 5 team with 3 0-2 teams, and in particular, Washington, because Washington's vital to the Pac-12 success as well.
Always great to talk to you. You make us smarter. Thank you, bud.
See you, Dan.
That's Rick Neuheisel, coach at Washington, Colorado, UCLA.